body will lie, sun will leave me brown. Paint me brown, my body will fly, wind become my sound.
Leanne Tennant, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
You were born in the UK, spent some time in New Guinea,
Yes.
then moved to Australia.
Yes.
Do you think that mix of cultures has had any effect on your music at all?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. Being born in England definitely had an effect because I grew up listening to English and Irish folk music. So that's what I started off writing, was a lot of folk music, and am inspired by that. And then PNG, you know, was a lot of roots music and reggae and things like that. So I guess that's sort of melded into what I already do and put a little flavour on it as well. Not that my stuff is reggae in any means, but I am sort of labelled as a roots artist from time to time. So
Yeah. And the vocalists sort of influenced the way you sing?
By living in the UK,
No, just in general.
other vocalists that inspire, probably Janis Joplin was one of the first sort of blues musicians that I just loved, the strength and power of a strong female vocalist. And then it kind of progressed from there. So many other different female artists, Nina Simone and Joni Mitchell, but yeah, I am quite drawn to that strong vocal, which is predominantly in a lot of blues music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've just released a new album, Red Wine Late Nights.
Yeah.
From what I've read, there's an interesting story behind the inspiration of the album. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah. Well, the album in its entirety wasn't so much from anything. There was a lot of late nights and some red wine consumed in the writing process. You know, it was a very kind of organic, fun sort of natural thing that was happening. But one of the tracks, the leading single, Gentle Annie, has a bit of a story behind it, which was written about a bus that I love, that lives down the road from me, and it never leaves. And I always wondered why it didn't leave when it looks so well taken care of. So I wrote this song about me wanting to steal it. So yeah, I went and approached the owner and said, you know, do you mind if I take a photo of your bus? And he told me the history behind the bus and offered to perhaps sell it to me. So that was a good ending to the song. But he doesn't know what it's about yet, so hopefully he doesn't change his mind.
Okay. Has he heard the song?
No.
Paint the ground with pictures of you, me and Katie Brown.
And from what I understand, the recording of this album was different to your last one. Was more performance-based and direct to tape. Did you enjoy that process?
I loved it. I love recording. I love being in the studio, and I'd never done analog recording before, so it was something I'd always wanted to do, but I just didn't know where to go or who to talk to, and I got steered in the right direction, and it was exactly what I was chasing, what I was after, and I think it helped me grow as an artist a lot. You know, instead of getting, you know, sort of maybe 15, 16 shots at doing a song and really agonising over it and making it absolutely perfect. This is real and raw, and it is what it is, you know. And so there was a growing period of me having to, you know, go, okay, that's what it is. Accept it for the little flaws that are here and there, and then the little pieces of beauty. And it was great, a really, really rewarding experience.
And Ben Eli from Regurgitator was involved. What was his role?
Yeah, he played some bass and some synth as well, mainly on the title track, the leading single Gentle Annie, and then a couple of others on there as well. And yeah, and he's joining me for a couple of shows down south in Brisbane a bit later in the tour, so it's kind of nice.
The track, the Pages Are Still White, is a duet. Who is that with, and was it always going to be a duet?
No, it wasn't. It was not written as a duet. Didn't even have it in mind, but Jamie, Travaskis had the idea of turning it into a duet because what he heard in the song was different to what it was written about. So it's kind of very open to interpretation now. So we pulled in a mutual friend of ours, Luke Peacock, who just won the Billy Thorpe Scholarship. And we'd met previously that year. And he was in the area at the time, and it seemed to work. And he took from the song exactly what Jamie took from it. So we tried it as a duet, and we felt that it worked, and it's got a nice flow to it. Yeah.
There's some pretty eerie, sort of menacing, ethereal sounds behind No More, My Lord.
Yeah.
How did you create that background noise?
Well, Ben Eli's on that track as well. He's doing some synth in there, and he was pretty much master of the sounds on that one. That's his world, it was kind of one of those tracks that was. I kind of like to label it as one of my self-absorbing tracks, where I just wanted the people that were involved to just really just play and jam and let it lead out to where it was meant to be. And it's actually one of my favourite tracks on the album. That one. It's a cover of an old prison song that I've done my own version of, and it's different to the way it was traditionally done, but I'm really happy with the way that it turned out.
I believe you got a Cole Clark guitar endorsement.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Funny story. I had a Breedlove guitar, and I loved it. It was an excellent guitar. And being up in far north Queensland, it's quite humid and quite hot, and I'd been travelling around with it, playing with it for a couple of years. And I was touring with Cold Chisel as their support, and we started the Cairns show, and the tuning just kept slipping as I was trying to tune it, and said to my bass player, "What's going on?" I didn't know what was happening. It's never happened to me before. Got it into tune, got through the show, it's great. Went to do the next show in Townsville, and it was doing the same thing. So I'm tuning it, hoping to get the same result. And in the middle of tuning it, the whole bridge just flew off the guitar with the strings attached and just swung out, nearly took someone's eye out. And I had no guitar, and luckily the crew went and grabbed one of their guitars for me to use, and they were really lovely people. But I approached Cole Clark and said, "Look, I really need a new guitar, and I've always liked your guitars. Would you be interested in endorsing me?" And they said yes. So it's from Melbourne, and when I was last down here, I went and picked it up, and they helped me choose the one that I have. So I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. And you've got an electric as well. What do you use for your electric stuff?
It's a Gretsch, and when I was shopping for an acoustic guitar, before I'd spoken to Cole Clark, I went into a guitar store in Sydney thinking I'd have to buy one, like I just don't have any time left now. I was playing at Australian Music Week, and walked in, and I've always wanted a Gretsch, always, and I walked in there and there were Gretches, and I just thought I'd hold one for a while. And I couldn't leave without it. The shop owner gave me a really good deal and threw in a case, and was having a bit of a slow month, so he was keen to get some things moving. So I walked out with a Gretsch, still with no acoustic guitar, but I love it. It's one of the most glorious things I've owned, so I'm still in love with it.
There's some great reverb sounds on the album. Does that come through a pedal or through the desk?
It's a combination of the amp and the pedal. So the amp that I use is a Fender Princeton amp, which has a lot of reverb on it. And Jamie in the studio used something similar. It's a Fender Deluxe, so that's got a lot of reverb on it, and some tremolo pedals as well. So yeah, it's a lot fatter on the album, and I've got a version of it when I play it live.
Yeah. The other thing that gives the album great atmosphere is your sense of space. Is that something that naturally comes to you, or something you've learned?
I sort of go up and down with it. It's nice to hear you say that. I used to write songs with a lot of space, and then I kind of shifted away from that, and I've come back to it now. So it's really nice to be back there. But I think with the type of music I'm doing at the moment, because it is quite raw and stripped back, it is nice to have, there's beauty in space. and it is something that I've learnt to be comfortable with, not try and fill it in with something because you feel like something needs to be there. I think when you get a bit comfortable with having that space there, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. In an interview you did with the ABC up in Queensland, you were talking about how you had performance anxiety for a while.
Yeah.
It's something that I hear a hell of a lot.
Okay.
It's one thing being a songwriter and a recording artist, but performing those songs is a completely different
Yeah.
beast altogether. A few years ago I was talking to Adelita, and she says she still feels sick before she goes on stage.
Wow.
And what have you learned? What sort of coping mechanisms have you learned to get over that?
A few different things. A little technique I used to use when not so much with performing, but when I was getting panic attacks and things like that, was because you're very inward and inside your own head, and I used to try and listen to the furthest sound I could hear. So right now it was the bus going past or the tram, and then I'd try and listen further than that. So it might be someone hitting a hammer over there, and try and just keep getting my ear to listen further and further away. And when you do that for only a few seconds, it takes yourself out of your brain to make it stop spinning and spiraling. And then with performing, just a lot of breathing, just trying to have a little bit of quiet time and breathing, and doing what you can to not let your thoughts spiral into sort of negative thoughts, I guess, and panic. And I think the more you do things like that, it gets a little bit easier to handle, and then you kind of can get on with things, and then you feel happy about it. So,
You've got some pretty big things coming up. You've got Big Sound and the Red Deer Festival. You're playing with Art vs Science and Jungle Giants. Are things panning out the way you dreamed they would?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Some of the things I'm doing are things that I've wanted to do for years. It was always a dream to play at Big Sound. I've been down there the past 3 years in a row just spectating, I guess. So to be invited to showcases is a dream come true for me. And Red Deer, I spotted that festival a number of years ago when I had just started getting back into music. I thought, wow, that looks really cool, BYO Festival, not far from where I grew up in Sanford. I'd love to go to that one day, and now I'll be playing at it. So things are going really well. I'm happy.
So once this tour finishes, what happens then?
Well, I would like to get back into some songwriting, definitely. Catch the moment while it's there. I can feel it inside me, so I'd like to just get onto that, and maybe some collaborating with some other people as well. And there might be a little remix happening of one of the tracks on the album. So you have to wait and see about that one.
Leanne, Tennant, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.